What is going on, YouTube? It's your boy NevinTheBarber, and in today's YouTube video, I'm going to be covering a mid-skin razor fade. So to get right into the tutorial today, I'm going to begin using my Gamma trimmers, followed by no guard lever all the way open on the new Gamma Instinct metal clippers. And I'm going to follow this guideline with the number 3 guard all the way closed, flicking up at my client's parietal ridge bone, but not going up into his crown area. And I'm going to do some clipper over comb with that same guard just to blend up into the crown, kind of fading out that guideline that we created. And now I'm going to begin attacking that middle guideline using the half guard all the way open. And I'm going to just begin closing the lever one notch at a time. And every time I close the lever, I'm going to be sure to shorten my cutting stroke, just because the hair is going to be getting cut at a tad bit more of a shorter length. And little by little, the guideline will slowly start to fade away. You guys don't want to go too high whenever trying to flick out this guideline. Like I said, just be patient with it. All your clients' hair is going to be a little bit different based off the texture and the density. So just keep that in mind. And also just be sure to pay attention to the growth pattern of your client's hair as well, just because some of your clients may have hair that grows in different directions all throughout their scalp. And before I erase that last guideline, I always like to come back and do my client's edge up, just because I feel like it gives the edge up a little bit more pop. And I do have these trimmers right here, zero gapped. If you guys are wondering, I always like to use a zero gap trimmer whenever doing the edge ups. And now I'm going to come back with no guard lever all the way closed. And I'm going to begin attacking that last guideline. And this blade on my Gamma Instinct clippers is the Ever Since blade. If you guys are wondering, I'll be sure to leave the link in the description if you want to check them out. But I really like this blade right here. It's really sharp, and you guys won't have to do as many strokes whenever trying to erase the guideline. So I really like that about this blade right here. And not only that, it stays nice and cool for a long period of time as well. So shout out to Ever Since for coming through and sending me this blade. And right here, I have the lever all the way open, and I'm just attacking any last dark areas that I see throughout the fade. And just be patient with it. As long as you guys are going through each step and being consistent throughout the cut, everything will come out nice and even. And for the top, my client just wanted a short trim. So I'm going to begin saturating his hair and cutting off anything that doesn't need to be there. That way when he styles his hair, there's no overhanging hairs. Everything will lay nice and even. And these are my NevinTheBarber shears. If you guys are interested in purchasing a set, feel free to message me on Instagram and I will get you guys squared away. And right here, I'm just doing some shears over comb. I always like to do thinning shear over comb on all of my haircuts, regardless of what cut I'm doing, just because it gives a nice soft finish to the top of the blend. And I always like to use the thick side of the comb first, and then I'll turn the comb around and use the thinner side. And this really just gives your fade more of a blurrier effect, as you guys can see. And now that I've completed that, I'm going to go ahead and use the same exact shears and clean up my client's hairline, just knocking off any flyaways that I see. And it's really just all these small details that are going to bring your haircut to life and make it pop. So always be sure to go back and detail your work. And now I'm going to begin applying the shaving solution by Black Widow. This is a spray shaving solution by them. And honestly, I must say this stuff works really good. The hair falls off like butter, and it's just a nice way to prepare the skin before doing a shave. So shout out to Black Widows for coming through with this stuff right here. If you guys do want to check them out or purchase their razors, I'll be sure to leave the link in my description if you guys want to check them out. And whenever doing a razor shave, you guys always want to be sure to stretch the skin in the opposite direction that you're using the razor. And I always recommend beginners to start off by, practicing on a balloon with shaving cream. And if you don't pop the balloon, I feel like that's when you're ready to, do an actual shave. But I wouldn't recommend this for beginners, especially if you've never tried using a razor before. But you guys can see how the hair just falls off like butter. And it's pretty impressive that this solution can, prepare the skin and allow the hair to fall off so smoothly, considering that this isn't a shaving gel. So again, shout out to Black Widow for coming through with this solution right here. I would definitely recommend it to anyone who wants to try it out. And you guys can see that I'm not attacking the hair all at once. I'm just going little by little. And reason being is because I don't want to, cause any irritation to my client's skin or accidentally nick him. It's always better to be safe than to be sorry. But you guys can see the hair's just falling off like butter and everything is just coming together nice and smoothly now that we've completed the fade. And same thing on my client's beard. I'm going to keep that guideline as high as possible, ensuring that I don't cut anything that doesn't need to be cut. And on my client's mustache, I'm just cleaning up any baby hairs right above my client's lip. And with those few simple touch-ups, you guys can see how much of a difference it made. And I'm just following up with the foil shaver, cleaning any stubble that didn't get cut by the razor. And you guys can see now that there's a nice clean transition from the skin to the stubble to the hair. And I'm just gonna follow that last guideline with my trimmers, flicking out any last stubble that I see. And it's really just making sure that everything is nice and consistent all throughout the scalp. Here I'm using my razor to go over my client's edge up. And whenever you guys do this, it's always best to go up against the grain of the hair. And what I mean by that is bringing that razor blade up against the direction that the hair is growing out of the scalp, rather than going with the grain. Cutting the hair against the grain will allow the haircut to last longer and just leave more of a sharper look. And now that we've completed the right side of my client's fade, I'm gonna go ahead and do the same exact steps on the left side of my client's head. So first things first, with my gamma trimmers, I'm gonna create that first initial guideline, ensuring that I don't go too high or too low. Since this is a mid fade, I'm putting that first guideline right at my client's occipital bone on the back. And I'm really just using 2 guards to achieve this fade. I don't like to, make the fade more complicated than what it is. So as I mentioned earlier, I'm just going up, putting in my guidelines, and then I'm coming back down and erasing them. And here with the half guard all the way open, I'm flicking up all the way to the top of my client's parietal ridge bone. And just be patient with it. Some of your client's hair texture may take a little bit longer to blend out than others, especially like my client in this case, since he has thick, straight hair. It does take a little bit, longer to get more of a cleaner transition. As opposed to cutting, wavier hair or coarse hair, the hair lays on the scalp a lot easier, so it's much easier to get a cleaner transition. But nonetheless, This is still a bulletproof system right here, and I would recommend it to any beginner or advanced barber that wants to try out something new. But you guys don't want to make the fade harder than what it is. There really is no right or wrong way to cut hair at the end of the day. You really just got to find what works for you. And here, just cleaning up my client's C-cups and lining up his beard. And I always like to keep the beard right underneath my client's jawline, just to make their facial features pop out a little bit more. You guys want to be sure that you don't go too high when doing this. And same thing on the mustache. Whenever you guys do this, you just, want to clean it up right above their lip. You don't want to take it too high as well. And now I'm just going to come back and erase that last guideline with no guard lever all the way closed. And I'm just going to begin opening the lever one notch at a time, just to blend out any last dark areas that I see and blend up into the fade. And here, applying the shaving solution by Black Widow razors. And I really like this shaving solution right here, considering that it is not a shaving gel. This stuff honestly works like magic. I'm just stretching my client's skin, applying very light pressure on my client's scalp with the razor blade to remove all of the bulk. And I feel like using this system and technique right here is a lot easier, as opposed to, trying to figure out where your last guideline is whenever you guys remove the bulk at first. So that's why I like to remove the bulk at the end, because you guys won't find yourself struggling throughout the fade to blend out each guideline or figure out where the fade is supposed to be. But, as I mentioned, there really is no right or wrong way to do this. Whatever works easier for you guys, I always recommend you stick to that. But here I'm just going back, putting in some detail work, ensuring that I could give my client the blurriest fade possible. And not only will your client appreciate all the details, but this will increase your chances of retainment as well. Every haircut is a walking billboard of your work. So you always want to give your client the best cut that you can possibly give them. And you guys can see how much more the haircut stands out after I use the razor blade on my client's hairline. And just to finish up this blend, I'm going to go ahead and do some shear over comb. And you guys can see that there's just a very, very faint line right at the top of my client's fade in his temple area. And I always like to do this technique right here whenever removing that last guideline. You guys can see how much more of a softer transition that it leaves as opposed to the clippers. Sometimes the clippers can leave more of a choppier look. So this is when the shears come very handy whenever doing this process. But that is about it in today's haircut video. If you guys learned anything in this tutorial, please be sure to hit that like button, leave a comment letting me know what you guys want to see next, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. But it's been your boy Nevin the Barber, and I'm out. I'll see you guys in the next one.